In this video, let's see how Corey makes a traditional German dish called Bierocks. He is in charge of dinner in the kitchen tonight. And then I'm going to be discussing my top 15 or so do's and don'ts in the pantry when it comes to long-term storage. I'm going to show you the mistakes I've made and hope that you can learn from them. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to Living Forgiven. My name is Kelly, and in my last video I talked about the things that I will no longer store in my long-term storage. This video is going to be about what the do's and don'ts are with regards to long-term storage. Don't let your emotions control how you prepare. Don't give in to the hype of fear-mongering, whether it be on the news or other YouTube channels. I covered this in my last video. Focus only on what suits your family's needs. Do not compare yourself to others. If you're a family of 2 and you're watching videos where they're putting stuff away in their long-term storage for their family of 10 or 12, that's gonna look different to you. What might be a year's worth of food to them might be 3 or 4 years of food to your family. Some of us don't live on farms or ranches. Some of us live in apartments, in suburbs, in the city. Some of us live in multi-generation households. So you need to make sure that when you're prepping, get an idea of what looks good for you and your family and y'all's needs. Do not try to compete or keep up with somebody that has a completely different situation. Don't stock up just to save a buck. Now this ties into the last video. I said do not stock up on things that are on sale unless there's something that you tried and you like. My daughters are vegetarians and they eat the Amy's vegetarian chili, but I might go buy a case of 12. And the reality is they're only going to eat that maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So let's say it's something that's on sale, but you have never tried it. I said this in my last video too. Maybe buy one of this item and try it first. See if you or your family likes it. And if y'all do, then you can go back and get it while it's still on sale. Our taste buds are what they are. I would not stock up on something with the intentions that you're going to teach yourself to like it or you're going to encourage your family to like it. If it's something that you or your family don't enjoy, you're not going to be able to change somebody's mind. I mean, I guess in a desperate situation, which I hope we never come to, if you have no choice but to eat that thing, chances are good you're not going to eat it. You're probably going to have a difficult time changing someone's mind. For example, I don't eat seafood. I will eat some tuna fish, but I definitely don't eat shrimp. I don't eat squid. I don't eat anything like that. So for me to try to stock up on canned, I don't even know if they make canned shrimp, but if they do, that's not something I'm going to eat. So I'm not going to stock up on it and go, well, maybe I'll learn to like it. Let's talk pantry food fatigue. Food fatigue is very real if you are living out of your pantry. Obviously, you're limited on textures and tastes, which is why seasonings come into play. That's important too. That wasn't on my list, but it's good to have a variety of things so you don't get food fatigue. But don't make the mistakes that I did about feeling like I have to have a gazillion different things if the truth of the matter is that my family and I are only going to eat about 10 of those things. Yes, you got to find the balance between having a variety but not overdoing it. Just stick with the things that you and your family are going to like. Consider your family's dietary needs. I've got children who are vegetarians. Corey and I have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, so we're going to have to limit our salt, our sodium intake, so push comes to shove and we have to live off of the Spam here. I guess we'll do the best we can. You might have children with nut allergies. Make sure that you are planning to put food in your pantry that will meet all the needs of everybody in your family. Know how to store your food for long-term storage.
Another important thing that I learned when it comes to food storage, do's and don'ts, make sure that you know what foods you need to freeze, whether it be just for 48 hours to kill off any bugs or larvae that is in your flour or your rice to prevent an infestation. But then there's things that just keep longer, such as your coffee grounds you can store in the freezer. And behind me, these right here are not food grade storage. These are just some bins I got at the Dollar Tree. I do have some food grade buckets. We put our flour, our sugar, our beans, our rice in that we got at Lowe's or Tractor Supply. You want to make sure that you are storing your food properly. If you've got some glass jars or plastic jars that you save and then repackage foods, because any bugs, any rodents, or any kind of pests that could get into your food and spoil it.
Eat what you store and be sure to rotate your foods.
I don't know if anybody else out there has OCDs like I do. When I had my pantry at its peak a couple of years ago, which you can probably go back and watch some of those videos, I've dwindled it down a lot over the past year. Stuff that I've used and a lot of it that I've just given away. But you want to make sure that you're actually eating the things that you're storing. When I got my pantry to look the way I wanted it to look, I almost looked at it like a trophy case. I didn't want to touch it. If I went and used a can of something, I went out and bought 2 cans to replace it. You're not really doing yourself any favors by not eating that food. And you want to make sure that you're rotating the food as well. Keep in mind how much of that you're going to use. Like I said, I would use one thing and then turn around and go buy 2. Well, if the truth is it's going to take me several years to get through what I already have in inventory, I don't really need to go replenish it every time that I use something.
Keeping track of all the food recalls.
This has been a difficult one for me because I don't just shop at one store. I shop at multiple in my area. We have Kroger, H-E-B, we have some discount stores around here, and we shop at the Asian markets down in Houston. So if we put something away and then a few months later find out that there has been a recall, which we've had happen before, and we can't remember which store we got what from. So maybe keep track, unless you do shop at just one store and you know where something came from. But if there is a recall, if you want to keep a list going of what items you have in inventory and where you got them. I'm bad about saving receipts, but I know that Walmart has changed their policy since the pandemic, and they will not take food items back unless you have a receipt. A lot of times they won't even do an exchange. If you don't have your receipt, they're not taking it back. That might vary from store to store, I don't know. Make sure that when it comes to recalls that you have a way to check food that is in your pantry that you might have put away 6 months ago.
Writing down recipes or keeping cookbooks.
Now, on my channel, I like to discuss just the real life, day-to-day things that could go wrong, such as power outages or storms, floods, fires, things that could and are happening daily to people all over the country. But in an extreme situation, say there is an EMP or the grid goes down for a long period of time, you want to make sure that you write down some recipes, or if you have some cookbooks on hand, make sure that you have a way to know how to prepare some food. If you don't have a bunch of cookbooks on you, go rent some from the library, make some copies of them, or write down the recipes on some little cards, little index cards that you can get at the Dollar Tree. I would suggest to people, this isn't related to food, but get yourself some maps. You know, we're so dependent on technology, looking up recipes on Pinterest or relying on our Google Maps to get us from one location to another. That's why I always say have hard copies of things.
Learn these skills before an emergency.
Nothing is more stressful than when you are in an actual emergency trying to teach yourself how to use something. For example, I keep putting off learning how to cook outside over a fire using a Dutch oven. I've got some recipe books, but I, for the life of me, don't know or understand what you're supposed to cook over an open fire versus letting the fire die down, how many coals you want on the bottom, how many you want on the top. So there's a lot of things that we could be mastering our skills at, such as canning, filtering water, foraging for food. I think on one of my upcoming videos, I'm going to focus on a lot of the books I have on how to get prepared. A lot of them are like scouting books, so you can learn how to survive if you lost all your everyday amenities.
Encourage others to be prepared too.
Be sure to encourage your loved ones to prepare. Don't fearmonger your loved ones, but just plant that seed that they need to put away some food if they're on a fixed income. If you go get something on sale that's buy one, get one free, use one now, put one away in your storage. Maybe if you put aside $5 a week to go to the Dollar Tree to get some rice or some beans or something just to put away, just slowly start putting stuff away and encouraging loved ones to do the same. Your parents, if you've got adult children who are living on their own, just explain to them the importance of putting something away for whatever the situation may be.
Let's talk expiration dates.
There are a lot of misconceptions about expiration dates. There are people I know that will just straight up throw away stuff that says it expired. Learn the difference between best by dates, use by dates, sell by dates, and yeah, even the expiration dates. Just know that a lot of those are put on there by the manufacturer for inventory purposes, if there's a recall, but it's also a marketing tool to make you go buy more food. Food waste is at an all-time high right now, knowing that even grocery stores throw away perfectly good food because it's expired. We just all need to be responsible and know that these dates on cans go years and years past those best by dates. I'd be a little bit cautious maybe of things with high acid in them, like canned tomatoes, canned pineapple, but we have some canned tomatoes and pineapple that are years past their best by date and they're fine. But just use the 5 senses God gave you. Do the smell test. Does it smell okay? Does it look okay? Does it taste okay? As long as the can's not bulging and there's not like a substance on the outside of it. And although I know that foods can go way past their best by date or expiration date, still, if you're putting food away in your long-term storage, check the dates at the grocery store. I can't tell you how many things I've put in my basket that have already expired. Again, I don't mind eating those, but if I'm putting something away for long-term that I don't plan on using for years, I'd rather buy something that hasn't already expired at the grocery store.
Making food from scratch.
I've done a video, I'll try to remember to link that in the description box below, of my homemade dog food and cat food, because during the pandemic and during the trucker strikes of the past few years, there's been shortages. I learned to make my own dog food and cat food, and I bought their amino acids off of Amazon so I could be able to put their vitamins and stuff in there as well. Let's say there's a shortage of pasta at your store. It'd be nice if we all knew how to make pasta from scratch.
Learn what ingredients you can substitute for others.
If you look closely in some of your recipe books, they might have a table, like a cheat sheet in the front or the back, that says how you can substitute this for that. If you're out of oil, you can use applesauce, or you can use some avocado. That again goes back to shortages. If there are shortages, but you may not have one ingredient, but you do have something else, it's good to become familiar with the different substitutes.
Helping versus enabling.
This goes along with what I was saying about encouraging others to prepare. In an emergency situation, this is me, you do you for your family, but Learn the difference between sharing with others, your community, your neighbors, versus being taken advantage of. I've heard stories of people who would talk about their neighbors or friends would come look at their pantry and go, "Oh, if the grid goes down, I'm coming to your place." Just make sure that you are encouraging others. If push comes to shove and I'm going to help people, I'm going to be looking in on my elderly neighbor who maybe is a widow, or my disabled neighbor that is not going to be able to get out to the store if there's some kind of emergency situation. People who are able-bodied, who are not heeding the call of being prepared, they're just wanting to go take from others. Make sure that you're not being taken advantage of, but at the same time, be willing to help your neighbors in need. I know that we've had Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Beryl recently, where people lost their homes, their cars, and they've lost their food because the power was out for weeks at a time. I'm willing to help those people with children, and I would just find that balance. Make sure you're not being taken advantage of, and that's why you're telling others, encouraging others to start putting away for themselves. Something's smelling really good in the kitchen, so let's go see what Corey is making for dinner tonight.
These two look like they're up to no good. Corey is making Bierocks tonight. I actually have a more detailed video of this. I'll link it in the description box below. But just to kind of give you the highlights, we're going to make some vegetarian ones for the girls and then use some of the free meat that one of my friends gave us. We're going to start out here sauteing a little bit of cabbage. We don't usually add shredded carrots, but we had some that we need to finish up, so we just added some seasoning and melted it down, and then we drained it. And we are going to go ahead and add an onion, because we put onions in everything. And this is a traditional German dish. We're adding some Worcestershire sauce here, or some Where's Her Sister. And then Corey is just putting the finishing touches on these. I think I said before you can use empanada shells if you rather, but I like them when they're in these Parker House style rolls. And Corey will just kind of show you what he does. He just flattens them out like he's making a little individual pizza, and then he stuffs the filling inside. The ones with the little balls of dough are vegetarian.
$3.50 for 20 minutes.
Corey is an amazing cook. Everything he makes is so good, but this is by far one of my favorite dinners. Let's talk about food resources.
I know that there are some food insecurities in the world today. I can't speak to everybody's community, but I do know that you can check with your local churches, see if there's some food banks in your area. I've mentioned in previous videos how we have a blessing box in our neighborhood where people can go drop food off or pick food up. So there are options out there. Just know that you're not alone. Know that you don't have to go hungry. And don't be shy about reaching out. If you have a relationship with a neighbor or family member and you're hungry, there's people out there that are willing to help and share. So just know that there are options out there. I hope that you enjoyed today's video of food preparedness do's and don'ts. I just kind of winged this on the fly. I just wrote down some notes on my little pad here about some of the things that have worked for me in the past and that have not worked. And I hope that others can learn through my mistakes. If you've got any ideas about things that you would do differently or that you plan to do going forward that maybe I haven't mentioned, please feel free to drop it in the comment below. I hope that y'all are all doing well, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.